When you've come from the absolute bottom to the absolute top, and you've done it all off of your own back, and hard work and dedication, and never missing a day, the only shortcut to life is to never miss a day. One, because of compounding interest, and two, because sometimes you get lucky. And you'll never miss a lucky day if you try every day. If you don't try every day, you might miss your lucky day. And that's what people don't understand. If you never miss a day and you never don't try and you're always on time, was I late today? No, on time, and you try and improve every aspect of your life, and you're a professional, and you try and make sure that you analyze your decisions, you give yourself feedback, you don't make mistakes, you're not lazy. If you try and you make it to the top, you end up elitist because you look at the people down below and you're like, well, why didn't you try? I did. Oh, I did too. No, you didn't. That's a lie.
As a man, you need to perform or you don't. There's no safety net like there is for females. Females can wake up and say, I don't feel like it. The men who say, I can't feel like it, cannot compete with the men who do not say that. And it is player versus player. The man who goes to the gym every single day, regardless of how he feels, will always beat the man who goes to the gym when he feels like going to the gym. And it's player versus player. And let me tell you something. As much as you want to sit here and disagree with me, it's women who decide who the winner is. Females will choose the man who's in fantastic shape. Females will choose the man who's got his money right. Females will choose the man who can fix any problem. Females will choose the man when they can go to him and say, everything's, can you fix this? And he says yes without panicking. That's who women want. Women decide who the winner is. Women don't want the man when you come to him with your problems and he goes, oh, I'm too stressed today. Tell me tomorrow. Women don't want that.
I remember walking to sixth form college. I was 16 or 17 with my 4 friends, and a Ferrari burnt past us. And I said to my boys, I was like, man, how'd that guy get that car? And they're like, don't know. I was like, doesn't that annoy you? I'm like, why would it annoy me? Because we're going to school, our parents are on council estates. Like, we're trying to scrape 20 pounds a week to eat. This dude has 400 grand for a car. Doesn't that aggravate you? Doesn't that show you that there's something about the world you do not understand? That you're missing something? And they're all like, not really. And they're all the dudes who are right now at home, 9 to 5, couple I was never that guy. I was pissed off for weeks because I saw some dude in his Ferrari.
I stand in the mirror with a pure heart. I know I am the best version of me that could possibly ever exist. I know that God is proud of me. There's nothing that God hates more than sloth and laziness. If God were to create a man and that man were to sit around and do all, God will frown upon you. It's why you're never lucky. If you're listening to this and you think I'm never lucky, I'll tell you why, because God dislikes you because you're lazy. Start to work, start to show God the beauty of his own creations. You'd be amazed how lucky you'll become. God is unhappy with these people. And inside their hearts, they're unhappy. We talk about depression, anxiety, all those things you mentioned earlier on this podcast. That comes from self-loathing. You loathe your own weakness. You loathe your own laziness. This is what all of these things are. I don't feel depression. How can I feel depression when I'm the most powerful version of me that I could ever be? How can I feel depression? I used to talk with my brother about it all the time. I was like, bro, we're doing something wrong. Something doesn't add up. We're still thinking in terms of like make money, spend money, money in the bank. It doesn't. There's people who are living for free and they just point at things and they get everything they want. My brother used to call me crazy. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, there's the matrix. We're inside the system. We need to escape. And now I managed to find a way out. So I always knew it existed. I was always looking for it. And it does exist.
The reason anyone is broke in the Western world today is because they are one of 3 things. They are either lazy, they are arrogant, or they are stupid. And if you're broke, you are one of those 3 things. I don't care what excuse you try and give me. You're gonna have to choose which one you are. Because if you're none of those 3 things, it's impossible to remain poor in the modern world. During COVID, when everyone was complaining that they went broke, I made so much money. You would not believe the amount of money I made. Now, they try their very best to keep it amongst the elites, and they do that. But if you're anywhere near the elite, you get money, right? If there's a rainstorm, all you have to do is walk outside, you're gonna get wet. The difference between me and everyone else is I know where the door is to walk outside. Everyone else is just floundering around the room, looking on the floor for pennies, like a jackass.
We were very, very poor. Me, my mother, and my brother, when we moved to England, we grew up in a homeless hostel. So I grew up at the very end of the socioeconomic ladder. I had a worse start than 99% of people. But I lived my life when I was poor, furious at the fact I was poor. Because my ego, and I'll be honest, my ego is at a point where I didn't understand how other people can afford Ferraris and I can't. I would be 18, walk into college, and a Ferrari would drive past, and it would ruin my week. And everyone would be like, what's wrong with you? And I'd be like, don't you see this fat can buy a Ferrari and I can't. Why? He's not a better man. He's not a better person than me. I'm just as good as him, if not better. I couldn't stand the fact that there are people who could do things I couldn't. So this gave me unlimited motivation to get rich. Now I found a way to get rich, and I believe that anyone who really, really, truly wants to get rich will get rich one way or another.
When I was 21, me and Andrew used to have no food. I used to drive my broken Volkswagen Golf to the KFC restaurant in Dunstable, United Kingdom. And I used to sit in my car. And you couldn't ever eat anyone's leftover food if they ever had their mouth on it. But at KFC, they used to buy buckets. And I would sit and wait for people to sit outside, eat their meal, and leave the bucket on the table. And I used to go and take that bucket, 3 or 4 pieces of chicken. And I used to collect 20, 30, 40 pieces of chicken that were perfectly fine left in the buckets. And I used to go home and I used to freeze that chicken. And me and Andrew would break it up, put it in our rice. And that was our meal. That's what sustained us for that hard year. That year we had when I was 21 and you were 22. That's how broke we were. I used to scavenge chicken from KFC because I thought, I'm not dying and I'm not losing my kickboxing fights because I don't have enough protein. What am I going to do to make it through the day? That's how broke I was. And that's a sad story if you never make it out. To me, that's a happy story. That's a story of triumph. Now it's like, hey, Andrew, it's my birthday. What we doing? KFC? And it's a big joke. We sit there eating our KFC laughing about how we used to scavenge KFC chicken.
There's a version of you that never sleeps in, never skips training, never wastes time. There's a version of you who never fails. It is waiting for you. Genuinely ask yourself a question, you at home. If you had done those things for the last 2 years, you never skipped a training, you never wasted time, you never scrolled TikTok, you never sat aimlessly on the internet typing in garbage, never played video games, you never wasted time. You never skipped training, you were training every single day. You never slept in, you were never lazy. There's this version of you. Imagine the person you would be. Genuinely imagine what you would look like. Imagine where you would live. Imagine the car you would drive. Imagine how much your woman would respect you. Imagine the love you would see in her eyes when she looks at you with adoration like a king. Imagine your existence. That person is waiting for you. And the only thing that's stopping you from being that person is your monumental laziness. You can have it. The universe is very giving. It will give you anything you work for. I've never seen somebody try for something with all of their might and not get it. The only people who do not have the things they want are the people who do not try for them. I've never seen a person wake up and say, my only dedication in life is to solve a Rubik's Cube and fail. You are not stupid. You are not incompetent. You are lazy and arrogant. It's extremely important you understand that that person is waiting for you and you are declining that version of yourself. In the multiverse, in the many different versions of the universe that exist, there is a version of you that does those exact things. And he is a greater person than you can even fathom. You can transform yourself into that guy. You can be a top G. That's exactly what I did. I knew who I was going to have to end up being before I became that person.
So if Mike Tyson walks in here and tells you he's going to teach you how to box and says you can't fight your, if that upsets you, then you can't learn, right? It's Mike Tyson. Just shut up and listen. If someone Richard and me comes along and says, Andrew, you don't know shit, you're a dumbass and you're a brokey, I'm going to sit there and go, okay, maybe I am a brokey, Elon. Tell me something, right? I'll listen. But if you're going to sit there and go, don't call me names and not listen, you're never going to get anywhere, right? You don't become the master unless you're very, very good at being a student. And I've always been very, very good at knowing when to shut up. But I've got to a point in my life now where I don't have to shut up ever. So I don't. I don't know how a man is waking up and he's happy without money. I think the smartest thing the rich people ever did was convince the broke people. I think that's nail on the head. All the rich people like, don't worry, guys. Don't worry. Money doesn't make you happy, guys. I'm going to keep mine. But don't worry, it doesn't make you happy. I promise. I'm sad. Promise. You're sad? Yeah, we both are. Good luck. Biggest scam alive. Because money is freedom. It's freedom to drive what you want, eat where you want, go where you want. It's freedom to sleep with who you want. I just described it. If you want a beautiful woman, you need money. Like, money is freedom. If you don't want to be a slave, which is...
It's freedom to say no. Money is freedom to say no.
My man has a Ferrari, okay. I wish I had a Ferrari, okay. They don't sit there and go for an hour, how did he get a Ferrari? It doesn't cross, that part is the part they don't want to do, right? They just go, oh, he has a Ferrari, wish I had a Ferrari, and they go back to TV. Yeah. And that's why they lose.
There's a lot of men who think what I think, they can't say it, they lose their jobs. So you want to say money doesn't buy happiness, well then you're saying you're happy to be a slave, because only money is going to give you freedom. When they want to try and attack you, like they've attacked me, they take your money away, on purpose. So absolutely, money's freedom to have an opinion now. So it's true. So yeah, exactly. So money absolutely is happiness, because freedom is a bare minimum requisite
to happiness. Unless you're happy being a slave. And you're right about what rich people did. They tried to convince all the people at the bottom that money isn't the answer. You're never going to be more happy poor. You may as well be rich. I can't think of many scenarios where being rich was a detriment over being poor. There's not many. Even if money can't help you, you may as well have it, right? So I completely agree with you. I think money is a bare minimum requirement for happiness, especially if you're a masculine man who wants to outcompete. Then you need money, because money is basically everything. I think money is, the most important thing in the world is health, because you have nothing if you're dying. Second thing is family and friends who you love. And the third is money, because it's everything else.
I think everybody knows that the system and the path they lay out for you is not a path that's going to lead to where you want to be. And I didn't know what the other path was, but that intrinsic distrust for the system and that distrust for the things they wanted me to do made me search for other avenues. And then I found them, right? And if you speak to the people who are richest, if you speak to the people you know, this is for everyone at home as well, if you speak to the people you know who have the most money and go up to them and say, hey, what made you rich? None of them say school. Do any of them say school made me rich? I got an A in GCSE. Like, who gives a shit? It's bullshit, right? So it's all indoctrination. So I knew it was indoctrination, and for that reason, I was always searching. If you're searching, you're going to find.
When I was 15, my first job was carrying boxes of fish from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. And I would run to work. So I'd leave the house at 6, I'd run an hour, I'd get there at 7, I'd finish work at 5, and then I'd run from there to the fight gym. Get to the fight gym, I'd get there early before training started, I'd eat food next to the gym, and then I'd train, and then I would get a ride home from my girlfriend at the time. So my entire life was 17 hours a day of just running and working and carrying boxes and fighting. And I can't be more thankful. You know, I don't want to be arrogant, but I'm going to. I really do believe I've had the perfect life. Now, I don't know if that's actually because I have the perfect life or if I framed it that way, but I am so thankful for everything. I am so glad I got to grow up poor because I wouldn't appreciate money if I didn't. And I'm so glad I got to spend my 20s, that decade where we were as powerful as possible fighting. And I'm so glad I've had difficult jobs and no money. And I'm so glad I couldn't pay my bills that I appreciate now all the money I have. And I'm so glad I had the parents I had. And I'm so glad all these bad things happened to me, but enough good things happened. And I just really feel like it's been the perfect path. And I think back on that job, I think back on how my life was back then, and I realized that I wouldn't appreciate any of the things I have now without them. There's absolutely no light without dark. The best thing about being rich is talking about how you used to be poor. Otherwise, it's no point being rich at all. You're not going to enjoy any of it. You're going to end up addicted to drugs and doing crazy stuff, right? Yep. The reason I'm so happy, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I'm happy every day, I'm pretty emotionally balanced, is because I wake up in a big ass house and I realize that I don't have to worry about rent the next day and everything's fine.
You need to understand something that will hurt now but free you forever. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care if you're tired, depressed, overwhelmed, or confused. That's your problem. Life has a simple rule: win or suffer. That's it. There's no sympathy for the man who shows up broke, because in this world, if you don't have money, you don't have a voice. You don't have respect. You don't have control. You're told when to wake up, when to eat, where to go, how to behave, and how much of your soul you're allowed to express. Being broke is the ultimate form of submission. You are not free, you are not safe, you are not living, you're surviving and barely. You need to get rich now. Or else is not a threat, it's a fact. Or else you stay trapped. Or else you beg. Or else you grow old in silence and regret. Or else you watch other men live the life you were too soft to build. Everyone around you is lying to you. They tell you to be patient. They tell you money isn't everything. They say you should just focus on being happy and enjoy the moment. But the truth is this: broke people don't enjoy the moment. They endure it. There's no peace in not knowing how you'll pay rent. There's no joy in working a job you hate, obeying a boss you despise, for a paycheck that barely keeps your head above water. There is nothing spiritual about suffering unnecessarily. You're not noble because you struggle. You're not virtuous because you've accepted mediocrity. The only reason you're still broke is because you've been programmed to be comfortable in hell, and you know it deep down. There's a war inside you. One part wants to rise, the other wants to rest, and every day you choose rest. You're feeding the side of you that wants you to die poor and invisible. That ends now. Because now you've heard it. You need to get rich now or else. And no, I'm not talking about get rich quick nonsense. I'm talking about making the decision to become powerful, influential, unbreakable, and building it day by day.
brick by brick, with zero tolerance for laziness or self-pity.